Hey guys, in this video I would like to address a very popular question that is prevailing among people who are starting off with their interview preparation, which is what language do I choose? This is a question which I faced when I started off with my interview preparations as well, and I had to do some research to actually come to some conclusions which I have compressed into a nutshell and I will be presenting before you in this video. So let's get started. What I would be discussing in this video shouldn't be confused with what language you are supposed to choose when it comes to development. In that genre, we have Python framework, Django, JavaScript libraries like React and Node and so on. But that is not in the scope of this video. We'll just be discussing about the languages which are prevailing when it comes to coding rounds of your technical interviews. Before discussing the topics, we'll get a small misconception a lot of people have away. In most of the colleges, C is actually taught as a part of the syllabus, but when it comes to technical interviews, it is a fact that C is just not enough. The reason for this is that C does not provide any standard libraries which you can actually use to save time in your interview. In certain interview problems, you'll have to use data structures like stacks, queues and maps, and when it comes to C, you don't have these data structures inbuilt. That means you'll have to build it from scratch, which will take a lot of time in the interview and might be a red flag to the interviewer. Meanwhile, in case of languages like C++ and Java, there are inbuilt libraries which is going to save you the time which I mentioned. Using the standard libraries doesn't mean that you should actually know the implementation of these data structures. You should know the implementation if the interviewer actually asks you to separately implement that data structure. Now let's move on to the top 3 languages for your tech interviews. Number 1. C++ is the most preferred as well as the most discussed language when it comes to the coding community. The reason is because C++ is very simple and easy to learn, and the people who have basics of C can easily grab onto C++ because the syntax is almost the same, just that C++ provides additional libraries. It provides very popular and standard libraries which is very commonly discussed. For example, if you go to the discussion sections of forums and blogs of coding questions that you see in interviews, most of the answers which will be discussed will be in C++ code. And it is highly recommended for people who are just starting off with coding. For the same reason, C++ is most discussed by the community and is on top of the list. On the second position, we have Java. Java is a very powerful and also well loved by the community as itself right after C++. And not just in coding, Java is widely used in development as well. So it is recommended for coders who have some prerequisite language about Java, because when you get into coding, there are certain things that you should know overall about Java, and as well as you need to know something about the standard libraries as well. Compared to C++, Java has more number of keywords and more boilerplate code whenever you are building a data structure. Because of that, you would require a little more prerequisite knowledge so as to get on with this language when compared to C++. And number 3 on the list, we have Python. Python is comparatively easier to learn compared to most of the other languages that we have seen. It has got very powerful libraries for string handling and machine learning as well. It provides web development frameworks like Django, which is widely used. But the reason why Python is number 3 on the list is because it requires a different set of boilerplate code. When it comes to certain coding problems like hierarchical data structures like trees and all, you might see some boilerplate code which is not common with other languages like C++ or Java. Since these libraries of Python, which is specific to technical interview problem solving, is not as widely discussed when compared to C++ or Java, I would like you to have considerable amount of knowledge before actually choosing Python as your language when preparing for your technical interviews. Now you can probably ask me the question, is it not possible to solve interview questions based on the languages which is not mentioned in the list, like JavaScript or C#? The answer is obviously yes. The reason is because the libraries of these languages which is required to solve the technical interview problems is not as popular or discussed as compared to the libraries of the languages that I have mentioned in the list. You can definitely go for JavaScript or C# when you are actually solving technical interview problems. But if you are going to do that, you make sure you get a significant amount of knowledge about the libraries before you actually get into it. Next time a professor comes up to you in your college and claims that C is enough for cracking technical interviews, then you can show them this video, unless they are buff, 6 foot tall and know some form of martial arts as well as resides in Trivandrum. So that's it for today, guys. You can follow me at Instagram at Axis of Ignorance. See you guys in the next video. Happy coding!